I'm 92 years old, and I can feel the edges of my life curling in. It's a quiet feeling, not dramatic, just a narrowing. The house is smaller now, even though it's the same house I've lived in for 40 years. The mornings are longer, the nights are longer still. And there are names I don't say out loud anymore because there's no one left who remembers them. When you reach 90, you stop pretending there's endless time. You see what's left and what isn't. I used to think the real regrets would be the big mistakes. The shouting matches, the doors slammed, the things you can point to and say, that was the day it all went wrong. But that isn't how it happened for me. It was smaller than that, quieter. It was the things I didn't do, the times I said, later, the way I believed there would always be another Sunday. I was 24 when I married Robert. He was steady. That's the word everyone used. Steady. He worked at the same manufacturing plant his whole life, woke up at 5:30 every morning. Coffee, toast, the newspaper folded just so. He wasn't romantic, not in the way the movies show it. But he showed up, and I thought that was enough. In my 30s, I was busy in the way women were busy back then. 2 children, a small house that always needed something, laundry that seemed to multiply overnight. I remember standing at the sink with my hands in soapy water, staring out the window at the maple tree in the yard. I'd think, when things slow down, I'll sit out there more. I'll watch the leaves change. But things didn't slow down. They just changed shape. Robert would come home tired. I would be tired too. We'd eat dinner across from each other and talk about practical things. Bills, the kids' grades, the car making a strange noise. Sometimes he'd look at me like he wanted to say something more, but neither of us knew how to start, so we didn't. It wasn't unhappiness, that's the tricky part. It was just postponement. We postponed tenderness. We postponed the long talks. We postponed the trips we said we'd take when the kids were older. We postponed sitting close on the couch without the television on. There was always a reason. A shift he had to pick up, a school event, a sore back. We told ourselves we were building a life, and we were. We just forgot to live in it. In my 40s, the children left one by one. The house grew quieter, but instead of filling that quiet with something gentle, we filled it with work. Robert started taking overtime. I began volunteering at church and then part-time at the library. I liked being needed. I liked when people said, "We couldn't do this without you." It felt important. I didn't notice that the most important person was sitting across from me at dinner, eating in silence. There was a night I must have been 56 when the power went out during a storm. No television, no lights, just candles and the sound of rain hitting the windows. We sat at the kitchen table, the house wrapped in darkness. Robert started telling a story about when he was a boy, fishing with his father. I hadn't heard that one before. His voice was softer than usual, younger, almost. And I remember thinking, I should ask him more about this. I should lean in. But I didn't. I got up to find another candle. I said something about the freezer food spoiling. The moment passed. The power came back. We went back to normal. That's how it happens. Not with explosions, with interruptions. When he turned 70, he retired. For the first few months, he seemed restless. He would wander from room to room like he was looking for something he'd misplaced. I thought retirement would give us the time we'd been saving up. All those postponed evenings, all those trips. But by then, we had forgotten how to be with each other without a schedule. We tried to take a drive up the coast once. It should have been lovely. The ocean was gray and wide. We stopped at a small diner and ordered pie. But we talked about the weather, about gas prices. I could feel a wall between us, built brick by brick over decades of later. Then came the hospital. It was sudden in the way heart attacks often are. He had been mowing the lawn. I was inside folding towels. I remember the neatness of the stacks, white on white, and then the sound. The mower still running, but no footsteps. I looked out the window and saw him on the ground. There are moments that split your life into before and after. That was mine. In the hospital room, machines hummed softly. His hand felt smaller in mine, or maybe mine had grown old. I kept thinking, we were supposed to have more time. We were supposed to finally start. I whispered things I should have said years earlier, that I loved him, that I noticed how hard he worked, that I was proud of the quiet way he carried us. He opened his eyes once, just once, and he looked at me like he was trying to memorize my face. Then he was gone. You think you'll have a long goodbye. You think you'll get to clean up the loose ends. Most of the time, you don't. The house after that was unbearable. Every room held an echo. His chair by the window, his boots by the door. I would sit at the kitchen table in the evening and stare at the empty space across from me. I realized I didn't know his favorite song. I didn't know what he had been most afraid of as a boy. I didn't know if he had ever felt lonely sitting next to me. That's the cost, not the fights, not the money. It's the conversations you never had because you assumed there would be a better time. After 90, your world shrinks. Friends disappear one by one. The phone rings less often. Your body becomes unpredictable. Some mornings, I sit on the edge of my bed and wait for my knees to agree to carry me. I move slower now. I have to. And in the slowness, the memories come. Not the birthdays or the holidays. The small, ordinary evenings. The times I chose to wipe the counter instead of sit beside him. The times I said, I'm tired, when what I really meant was, I don't know how to start. I don't blame myself in a dramatic way. We did what we thought was right. We provided. We kept the house warm. We raised good children. They visit when they can. They love me. I know that. But they have their own busy lives now. I see the same postponement in their eyes sometimes. The same belief that the important things can wait. I want to tell them, it doesn't feel urgent until it is. After 90, you understand that love is not maintained by intention alone. It needs attention. It needs those foolish little moments that feel inefficient. Sitting on the porch doing nothing, asking a question you've already asked before. Turning off the television and letting the silence be shared instead of avoided. It's too late for me to sit across from Robert and say, tell me about your father again. It's too late to take his hand during a storm and let the freezer take care of itself. It's too late to choose differently in those ordinary evenings that made up the bulk of our life. I still talk to him sometimes. Not in a strange way. Just a sentence here and there when I pass his photograph. I tell him about the birds in the yard, about the neighbor's new dog. I apologize, quietly, for the ways I was present in body but absent in spirit. If you're younger than I am, and you are, please understand, I'm not talking about grand gestures. I'm talking about tonight, about the person in the other room, about the habit of saying, in a minute. Minutes become years very quickly. You won't notice it happening. That's what makes it dangerous. I used to believe that reaching 90 would feel like an achievement, a medal for endurance. But it's more like standing at the end of a long hallway, looking back at all the closed doors. You remember what was behind some of them. Others, you never opened at all. There is gratitude here, too. I had love. I had children. I had a home filled with ordinary days. Not everyone gets that. But gratitude doesn't erase the quiet ache of what might have been said, what might have been known, if only I had stopped rushing through the middle of my own life. After 90, you can't ignore the truth anymore. Time was never promised. It was just given, little by little, and I spent so much of it preparing for later. There is no later now. Just this chair, this afternoon light, this breath. If this means something to you, don't make it into a lesson. Just let it sit with you. Maybe tonight, when the dishes are done, leave one in the sink. Sit down instead. Ask the question. Listen to the answer, even if you've heard it before. Because one day, if you're lucky enough to reach 92, you'll sit where I'm sitting, and you'll realize that it's not the loud mistakes that haunt you. It's the quiet moments you thought didn't matter. And by then, it's too late to go back.